Here is a fact about you that is going to sound strange. You are following a set of financial rules right now. Written rules, in a sense. Specific ones, with penalties for breaking them. You follow them at the shop, at family gatherings, on payday, in what you will and will not say out loud about money. And here is the strange part. You never wrote them. You never read them. Most of them you have never even heard stated as rules. They were handed to you, quietly, before you were old enough to know a handover was happening, and they have been running your financial life ever since. Today we are going to open the book, because this inheritance is real, and it is bigger than most people ever discover. Everyone gets one. A rule book assembled from the family that raised you, the class you grew up in, the culture around you, the friends you calibrated against, and the conclusions you quietly wrote about yourself along the way. Some of the rules in yours are genuinely wise. Some are quietly expensive. And one kind of rule, the kind we will get to near the end, costs more than all the others put together, because it is not about money at all. It is about who you think you are. Hold on for that one. First, the reason these rules stay invisible, because it is elegant. They do not feel like rules. They feel like personality, or morality, or common sense. You do not experience "I follow an inherited rule" about never discussing salaries. You experience "I am just a private person." You do not notice a rule that says celebrations must cost a certain amount. You feel that doing less would be wrong, and wrong feels like a fact. That is the disguise. Inherited rules dress up as who you are, and nobody audits their own personality. There is a video on this channel about where money anxiety comes from, and this is its sibling. That one was about the feelings you inherited. This one is about the rules, the actual operating instructions, and reading your own operating instructions for the first time is one of the stranger and more useful things you will ever do with 10 minutes. So, chapter by chapter. Chapter 1. Family. This is the thickest chapter, and its rules are the oldest in the book. In some families, the rule is we do not talk about money, so asking what something costs or earns is quietly rude forever. In others, the rule is money is sent home, the eldest carries the others, success is shared, or it is selfishness. Some inherited debt is shameful, hide it. Others' inherited debt is normal, everyone has payments. None of these arrived as lectures. They arrived as the temperature of a room when a subject came up, repeated for 18 years. Family rules are the ones that feel most like morality, which is exactly why they get audited least. Chapter 2. Class. These rules define what people like us do, and their power is that they set your menu before you ever order. Investing is for rich people. People like us rent. You take the safe job, the known path, the thing that cannot be laughed at if it fails. Or from a different starting point, the opposite rules. Money is discussed at dinner, risk is normal. You will own things. Class rules are inherited maps of what is possible, and a map drawn by someone else's limits will quietly become your own, not because the doors are locked, but because the map says, "Do not bother walking over." Chapter 3. Culture and Community. These rules govern money's public face. What a wedding must cost. What a funeral must cost. What you must wear, drive, give, and host to remain respectable. And the master rule underneath many of them, never look like you are struggling. Whole financial lives are quietly bent around that single sentence. Appearances funded before foundations. The performance of okay paid for with the substance of it. These rules are the most expensive kind to break socially, which is why so many people keep paying them long after they privately stopped believing in them. Chapter 4. The Peer Group. Friend rules are lighter but constant. Who covers what? What splitting looks like? What a normal weekend costs? What counts as cheap, and how cheap gets punished? With a joke, a glance, a slightly changed tone. There is an earlier video here about environment shaping your baseline of normal. The addition today is this. Those norms are not just averages you drift toward. They are rules, with enforcement. Try paying differently than your group's rule expects, and you will feel the penalty arrive instantly, even though nobody says a word. That feeling is the rulebook, working. And Chapter 5, the one I said costs the most. The rules you wrote about yourself. I am bad with money. Written after a bad stretch at 22, still enforced at 40. I am not a numbers person, so the accounts stay unread. Windfalls are for enjoying, so nothing unexpected ever builds anything. I have to be the generous one, so no is never available. These self-rules cost the most because they are identity, and identity rules do not just shape decisions. They veto them before they are consciously considered. A person who believes they are bad with money will decline, without noticing, every opportunity to discover otherwise. The rule protects itself. That is what makes it the most expensive line in the book. One more thing about the book before I show you the test. Its chapters contradict each other, and the contradictions are where a lot of private confusion comes from. Family says money is shared. Class says people like us save every coin. Culture says never look like you are struggling. The self chapter says you are the generous one. Try obeying all of that on one salary, and the impossible math gets experienced as personal failure, when it was never personal at all. It was two rules fighting over the same money. If your finances feel confusing in a way the numbers alone cannot explain, look for a rule conflict first. There usually is one, and naming both sides of it is half the relief. Now, how do you find your own rules, given that they are dressed as personality? There is a reliable test. Resistance. Pick any money behavior and imagine doing the opposite, calmly and reasonably. Imagine asking a friend what they earn. Imagine a modest celebration. Imagine saying no to the next request, or yes to the investment. If the imagined act produces a wave of discomfort out of proportion to any actual consequence, guilt, embarrassment, a feeling of that is just not done, congratulations. You have found a rule. The discomfort is the enforcement mechanism, and it fires whether the rule is wise or not. That is the key. The guilt only proves a rule exists. It says nothing about whether the rule deserves to. So here is the shift, and it is gentler than you might expect. The goal is not rebellion. Inherited rules are not the enemy. Unexamined ones are. Some of what is in your book is gold. Live below your means. Avoid what you do not understand. Protect the family cushion. Wisdom paid for by people before you. In currencies harder than yours. The work is sorting, not burning. 3 trays. Keep, for the rules that still serve the life you are actually building. Rewrite, for the ones with a sound principle in outdated packaging. Retire, for the ones that only ever served appearances, or fear, or a version of you that no longer exists. A rule consciously kept is completely different from a rule obeyed in the dark, even when the behavior looks identical from outside. And expect the enforcement to fire during the sorting. The first time you break a retired rule on purpose, the guilt will arrive on schedule, because guilt does not know the rule was retired. It fades with repetitions, not with insight. Knowing a rule is outdated does not silence it. Breaking it calmly a few times while nothing bad happens does. That is not a character test. That is just how inherited software gets updated. So, the work. And it is genuinely 10 minutes. First, write the rulebook out. Use these 4-sentence stems and finish each one fast, without editing. In my family, money was. People like us do not. You should always. I am the kind of person who, write until the pen slows. What comes out will be your inherited operating instructions, most of them stated in words for the first time in your life, and rules lose a surprising amount of their automatic power the moment they exist on paper instead of in the air. Second, find each rule's enforcement. Next to every rule, write what actually happens if you break it. Guilt, gossip, a difficult conversation, nothing at all, once you look. This step matters because it separates rules held by your values from rules held by fear of a penalty, and those deserve completely different treatment. A rule you keep because you believe it is yours. A rule you keep because breaking it feels bad is still theirs. Third, this month, act on exactly one rule. Consciously readopt a good one. Sign it, make it officially yours. Or retire a costly one and deliberately break it once, small and calm, and let the guilt fire and fade. One rule a month is a complete rewriting of your financial operating system inside a year, with no drama at any single step. If reading your own rulebook out loud just explained a few decades of your money life, that is precisely what these modules are for. And subscribing keeps the next chapter coming. And tell me in the comments, which sentence stem produced the rule that surprised you most? The answers to this one tend to be quietly profound. Before you go, hold the book gently. The people who wrote your rules were not trying to limit you. They were handing you everything they had learned about surviving their world, in the only format they had, repetition and feeling. Some of it was love, some of it was fear that made sense at the time. Editing the book is not a betrayal of them. It is the whole point of an inheritance, that the next generation gets to build on it instead of just preserving it. So keep what is gold, rewrite what is dated, retire what only fear was holding, and sign the pages that are truly yours. A financial life run by rules you have actually read is a different life, even before a single number changes. Progress beats perfection, one rule at a time. See you soon.